Today something showed up and I'm super jacked about it. And it's right there on the bench. But we're not going to talk about that right now. I'm going to talk to you about, well, actually a couple things showed up. We'll talk about this right here first. Here's a PTO. Ooh, pretty. Will from California, thank you, buddy. Thank you for sending this. So this is one of two different PTOs he sent me, and I'm going to exchange with him on something else he wants. And so we basically, he gets something, I get something, and we work out really well. This PTO here, I looked at the gear ratio on it, and I just don't think this is the one that I want to deal with right now. This gear ratio on this one is going to be the best setup. Now, both of these are constant mesh, and what I mean by that is you cannot disengage either one of those PTOs, so they run all the time. When the tractor's running, they run. One of those PTOs, the white one, will be bolted right there. Thanks, Will. And from that to the back of the tractor, you need to have a unit that can engage and disengage your drive shaft. So if your engine's spinning at 800 RPM, if you slam that right into gear, you could tear up a drive shaft, you could tear up all sorts of things. It's not gonna be a good day. So you need a unit that can slowly engage that and that can take all the abuse. Now, we're not gonna talk about that just yet. I wanna explain how much thought and process and the time that I've invested trying to make this work. I've lost so much sleep over this thing. This tractor here, I wanted to make sure that this was the first mechanical PTO Big Bud in existence. I don't know of any other ones that have a mechanical PTO, and I wanted to make this one the very first one. And you guys have been asking for it for quite a few years, saying, put a PTO on your tractor, put a PTO on the Big Bud. Well, we're doing it, but here's the thing that I was dealing with. How do I engage that to start that when the engine's running? I started thinking about different ways, like I could buy a Chevy 350 flywheel and a clutch and a couple pillow block bearings and a bunch of other things and machine this piece and machine that piece and have a lever. And then I have a clutch assembly that I can engage it and disengage it. But I'm like, man, the amount of time invested into, I don't have the time to do that. I got so many things to do. Like there's a lot going on in this tractor. I got so much to do that I can't do that. So I started doing research and all that other stuff and looking all over, and I couldn't, like, what, there's gotta be something out there, somebody, this is not an uncommon problem of trying to engage and disengage. And then I came across a website and I started looking into it and reading some of the stuff that they had. And I was like, that's it, that is what I want. That unit would be perfect on this tractor. Like, I've gotta reach out to these guys and I gotta say, hey, like, do you have something that would work for me? Like, here's what I got. So we started talking, and this company, they've been around for 50 years. Talking to them, they have all sorts of solutions and things that they build and cool stuff. Like, they know what they're doing. So they said, we got you covered. So they gave us this. This here is a Logan Clutch. Logan Clutch, after talking to him, said this would be perfect. And they want to be a part of this tractor build. And so because of them, they're making it happen. I want to say thank you, Logan Clutch, because this is like my Christmas birthday present for the next 5 years. Like, I'm so jacked about this because this is like all my problems right here fixed. And one of the neat things that really caught my eye was it's got a feature called a soft start. So like they have this unit right here, and this is air operated to engage it. Now you can get hydraulic operated if you wanted to. We decided to go with the air option because we have air on the tractor. So as you apply air to this, to apply it, you just have a 12-volt solenoid, so just a switch. So when you engage the switch, it allows air to go into this unit, and it doesn't just slam it in there. It slowly gets it to go in, and then it finally gets the pressure it needs, and it locks it in. So pretty much what happens is this right here will be going into the PTO right there. So it's a 14 spline, like 1.25 inch shaft. And as the PTO is spinning, let's just say like 800 RPM, I don't know, I'm just gonna throw out numbers. If that's spinning all the time, this side won't be spinning until you push the button. And then all of a sudden it starts to slowly engage, and then whatever back behind it will catch up to speed, and away you go. They've got like 8 clutches in this thing. It's bathed with ATF fluid is what they have required inside of it. So it's easy to change, easy to put in. One of the things that I thought was really neat about it is literally bolt and play. So they make an adapter right here with a bearing and a flat flange piece with holes in it, so you can adapt different things to it. So they sent this, all this stuff has been sent. You put it together and we are like golden. We're like, it's way to go. Now you're probably thinking, well, what kind of torque can this thing take? So operating, you're about 600 foot-pounds of torque, and then about like 912, I think is what it can peak up to. If we got the hydraulic version, it'd be like 985. Now, I could be wrong on these figures. There's a lot going on up here, so don't quote me on this. If you do have an application you want to make, they can set you up, by the way. But you're also thinking like, well, what do they use these things for? A lot of it's like hydraulic pumps. So you mount a hydraulic pump on the back of it, and if you're traveling and going different places and you want to be able to engage and disengage your hydraulic pump. So like, let's just say if you have a vane pump or a gear pump and you want to be able to engage it and disengage it, this would be an awesome, fantastic solution, because you pull up to a job site, push a button, it engages it, running it, shut the button off, it turns it off, you drive to the next job site. So there's a lot of options that this thing can do. So Logan Clutch, you guys are awesome. I want to say thank you again, because you have solved my problem of trying to put a mechanical PTO on the back, and I've had to do a lot of planning and a lot of figuring to make this all work, and to see this come together from what I've planned up here to that, and it is working so well. And at this point, I probably shouldn't say it, but at this point, there's nothing that has really caused us a major inconvenience to make this all work. So, because you guys have asked for it multiple times, put a PTO on your big buds. We're doing it, guys. Like, we're making it happen, and that is so exciting to me. Like, I literally am just so excited to have all of this together, and it's working out, and all that stress, sleepless nights, whew, I think it was worth it. Oh, but if you guys have anything that you're trying to do, these guys, they love tackling new projects, new things, and they've never done this to a big bud, and they wanted to be the first. So, yeah, you guys are the first to help us out on this. So thank you, Logan Clutch. And let's make this happen. Let's bolt this on the tractor. I'm going to clean it up, put it on there, bolt that on, bolt this on. And then there's another thing I want to talk about. It's not here yet. So a guy called me. He said, hey, I saw your video of you doing a PTO on your tractor, and I got to call you up and I got to talk to you about something. And I said, okay. So we started talking, and he said, I've had problems and I had a solution that fixed my problems, and I want you to be aware of it. And I was like, okay, what do you got going on? Every time your engine fires, you have a power stroke and a big kind of a surge of energy, which is going to create a chatter through the whole entire drivetrain. On clutches, there's like springs and stuff in there that kind of take that little bit of a shock and that little bit of a chatter. On this here, the torque converter is bolted directly to the engine. So the torque converter, with the gear that's on it, does not have any way to take that little bit of a shock. So what he had, and he's sending it here, and I don't have it yet, is it's a Lovejoy connection, I think is what it is. It's a rubber unit with metal plates inside of it, and it can take like 200 horsepower, 260 torque. Oh, I gotta get out of that horsepower mode. 260 torque, I think is what it, or more. And what that stops is if there's any chatter coming from this point, it won't send it down your drive shaft, because these tubes here will start resonating like vibration. And so every time there's a vibration, you'll start having bearings going out, universal joints going out, gears starting to going out. And he said, I highly, highly, highly recommend you putting this in. and we went through tons of universal joints and other let's just say it was a nightmare. And I came across this and it fixed our solution. So he was very generous to send us one. It is in the mail, and when we get it, then I'll be able to complete this. But what I will do is put the PTO on, the Logan Clutch on, and then I'll quickly cut a tube and kind of adapt it real quick so that it can stay together. I'll have to cut that tube to a different length after I get that Lovejoy rubber connection. But then that way I can balance this drive shaft, weld it all up, and then go from there. So there's a lot happening, guys. A lot happening. And it's come together. Lots of fabricating. Oh, lots of fabricating. But we are making it happen. And this is just, oh man, I'm just so excited about this part. Let's do this. Let's put it on. But first I need some more coffee because I haven't chattered enough. I got a lot going on. And more coffee, why not? Because it's a good thing. So. By the way, if you guys want a mug, go for it. We sell a bunch of other stuff too. Farmfocus.com, go there. If you want something, you're more than welcome to. If not, no biggie.
Stop by our local Case IH dealer and picked up a category 3-4 drawbar pin that you'd see on like a quad track, Steiger, 625, 80, all that. So since we open this up to 2 inches, now we've got a nice 2-inch piece. But what we're gonna do to keep this thing from turning is build a box around this, or like so. And that way, when you drop the pin in, just like the tractors you see today, we're stealing their idea, this square head here will lock into this. This will be welded to the drawbar. And that'll keep the pin from rotating, which then keeps the wear from happening on your drawbar. And instead, the wear on the pin is what you want. Because the pin, that's a consumable. The drawbar, you don't want to be a consumable. Isn't that wild? That cold saw is amazing. Literally just warm. Cut right through that inch-thick steel like that, no problem. Of course, this is, you know, soft iron, but still, that's awesome. Okay. Tell right now I need to cut these corners off right there and right there. All tight.
Now, you are supposed to lubricate the threads and before you put it all together, but I'm going to pull this all apart eventually when we take the engine and transmission out of the tractor. So when we put everything back in, then I'll lube everything up and grease everything and make sure it's all good to go. But for right now, this is all mock-up in case I have to pull it apart. I don't want to be sticky with all this stuff. So yeah, we'll assemble it now. So I'm going to put the end on. Oh, that's beautiful. Just gonna get a couple bolts to secure it to it, and then I just need to measure the distance between there and there, cut a little tube, put that on there. Like I said, there's gonna be a rubber Lovejoy. It'll be between that flange and that yoke flange. So it'll have to be probably a little shorter. Now granted, that spline shaft can be, I got like 5 or 8 inches of play, so yeah, looks good. Oh, that's awesome. I'm happy. Oh, fit together perfectly. So in a way, this is the exact same setup as what's driving your axles in your tractor. So if you think about it, right here is your front axle, then you got a drive shaft, then you have a carrier bearing, then you have a slip yoke that pivots in the center of the tractor, then you have your divider box, and then you got your other one that's going to the back axle. It's like identical to what's underneath. It worked for them. Why won't it work for this? The only thing that's changed is there's a little bit of a sharper angle, and that's sharper than I want. 20 degrees, a little steep, but I did my research and I guess it can take 20 degrees, so we will find out. You guys might disagree with me. I don't know what other option I can do though. That's the max that I can do. But isn't that just cool? So now, if you think about it, when you're unloading into a semi from the cart, these two will basically be straight. You really never have the tractor turned at an angle when you're running. So it's only the back one that's going to be at an angle all the time. Looks good though. Oh, beautiful sight. All of it's together. Now I just need to straighten the tractor out. It'll be a little easier, and then I will center that one right there, weld it up. That one I'm going to leave until I get that Lovejoy, and then go from there. Oh, so cool.